You all need to run. Run where? And away. As far away from this town as you can get. Head west and don't look back. That did not go how I expected. So... we're totally following him, right? Totally. See you on the other side. Hey, welcome back. My name is AJ. You're watching Brilliant Luck Gaming, and right now we're going to do another segment of Beacon Pines Episode 5. And let's find out where the source is. Hiding spot. I'm hiding. Anyone can see me?
Chapter 8. 6 feet under, 3 towns over. The kids spent the rest of the afternoon combing through dusty piles of old county records, desperately searching for anything that could help them make sense of Mr. Tolliver's cryptic utterance. Luka tried to shake the thought of Gran's basement, but his focus wavered.
Uh-oh.
Explosives, messages hidden in jam, dossiers on various town figures, and a corkboard threaded with photos.
Definite mastermind vibes.
Gran was the only family he had left. He still couldn't bring himself to believe the worst. But the old map with the symbol of explosives in town square made that difficult.
Just a bit.
As the sun began to set, the kids were no closer to the truth.
Well, that'll do it. Here we go. If I have to read any more records, my eyeballs are gonna pop. We have to keep digging. If I dig another word, I'm gonna end up in one of those asinine death records. Rolo Carter lived a full life, lived a full and wonderful life, till he read so much boring crud that his brain oozed out of his ears.
Rolo shut his book with an assertive nod.
If you've got a better idea, spit it out. You sound like my sister. Keep pushing your luck, pal. And it won't be boring country records that kill you. I'll put you in the obituaries myself. Dang.
Rolo muttered under his breath.
Your county record. Really? That's the best you've got? When I'm done with you, you'll be the footnote in history. Just like...
Beck slammed her finger down on the open page before glancing down to read.
J. Hartford here. I'd love to see you try. Hey! We're all a little tired here. Let's just take a minute and...
Something tickled the back of Luka's mind.
Wait, what was that name, Beck? In the obit? J. Hartford. From the Brookville Tribune 8 years ago. That can't be right. What is it? J. Hartford. That's my grand's name. Jennifer Hartford. Maybe there were 2 J. Hartfords? Ms. Hartford survived by her young daughter E. Hartford. My mom's name is Eleanor. Okay, this is getting creepy. If your gran is 6 feet under, 3 towns over, then who am I living with?
The question hung in the air.
Dun dun da! That's what I thought. I thought his grandmother wasn't really his grandmother. Alright, gang, I gotta close up for the night.
Beck rubbed her eyes.
How late is it? Almost 10. Oh crap, Pa's gonna kill me! I gotta go. Yeah, my parents will be worried sick. Okay, let's meet up as early as we can at the festival tomorrow. What are you gonna do about the unconscious man in your basement? I'll think of something. True.
Luka's heart was pounding as he approached the house. If he was lucky, Gran, or whoever it was, hadn't gotten back yet. And of course, there was Mr. Tolliver tied up and unconscious in the basement.
Oh yeah, him too.
Dealing with him would be the first order of business. Luka shook out his arms to calm his nerves before entering. He held perfectly still, tempering his breath, and listened closely. She was asleep. His only hope was that she hadn't found Mr. Tolliver before dozing off.
I bet you Mr. Tolliver is gone. What do you say? And I had a feeling that really wasn't his grandmother. But it could be his mother. And whatever happened, that's what she didn't disappear, she just got really old. And she couldn't tell him, so she posed as his grandmother. Yo, Granny, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Okay. Alright, I guess I better go check on Mr. Tolliver. The door's still open? Ah, fudge. What the? I knew he'd be gone. Oh no!
Mr. Tolliver was nowhere to be seen.
Maybe he woke up, escaped from his bindings, and left without a trace?
Or maybe Gran knew everything.
That's probably the latter. What do I do?
Luka's hungry stomach groaned. Not realizing it, he'd gone the entire day without eating.
Okay, I can figure this out. Just need a little brain food.
Luka rushed over to the pile of jam jars, unscrewed one, and shoveled a handful into his mouth.
Uh-oh, that was bad. That was bad. I'm afraid your jam delivery will be
He
delayed.
flipped the lid to read the label.
Mr. Nuncreed, Okay, now I can think. So if Gran knows we tied up Mr. Tolliver, I'm screwed. If she doesn't know, then I need to play it cool. I guess the only option is to go to bed and act as if nothing is wrong. Gran will think Mr. Tolliver finished what he was sent to do and left when he was done. But first, hoppity hoppity hop. Can I punch this? I mean, why does he have a punching bag down here? What's he doing? And why did I eat that? And how do I put this back? Like, really? I wonder if there's anything in the garden. Let's go find out. She was looking over here for some reason. I guess there's nothing back here. Alright. We'll head back. Oh, great. Now she's gone. Gran? Okay, stick to the plan. Go to bed and play it cool.
As Luka climbed the final stair, the emotion of the day dragged heavily on him. With each consecutive step, his legs weakened. His stride began to falter.
Yep.
He tried to grab for the railing to steady himself. Something was wrong.
You ate the jam, bro. Come on, legs. Just a few more steps.
Luka groaned and tried to move. His limbs might as well have been bolted to the ground.
Yikes.
Through numb lips, he mumbled just before falling asleep.
The germ. Sweet boy. What did you get yourself into? I'm gonna wake up tied up, aren't I? Rest now and let me handle everything.
Chapter 9. A speech to end all speeches.
Mr. Kerr.
Luka awoke to find himself face down in bed. He moaned into his pillow. Why would Gran drug him?
Because she's not your gran. Or she's somebody else. She's definitely not Juniper.
Or rather, why was she trying to drug Mr. Nuncreed? Shaking the questions from his woozy head, Luka snapped back to the matter at hand.
The festival! Sorry. Alright, back to what I was doing. Why can't I open these doors? I mean, seriously, everything probably could have been solved if you would have walked into your parents' room. The door's still wide open. Interesting. Well, back to the festival. But first, looking cool. Thinking about the day. Thinking about how awesome I am. And we're done. Uh-oh. Where have you been? Gran put something in the jam. Yeah, we know. Secret messages for secret conspirators. Not this one, the one intended for Mr. Nuncreed. Put me to sleep. Whoa! Sly devil. Oh, I got a charm. I think she's trying to remove him from the equation. He might be in danger. Have you found anything? I bet you Mr. Nuncreed and whoever Juniper supposedly, whoever this person who's posing at Juniper, they must be in cahoots. Have you found anything? We looked around, but haven't seen anything odd. Your gran is nowhere to be found. But Mr. Nuncreed is just loafing around, waiting for the speech. What speech? Mayor Gus just got up to the podium. Everyone is gathering at the stage. Let's get moving. Hop, 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 hop. Ah, we're all here! Hi, everybody.
Augustus Valentine nervously wiped his brow.
Is this thing... hello, Beacon Pines. I'm Augustus Valentine, your mayor, and I suppose you already know that. Oh yes, before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize who couldn't be here to recognize someone who couldn't be here today. This town wouldn't be where it is today without my father, Sharper Valentine. So I thought we could begin with a round of applause befitting such a great man. Even that's more than the old codger deserves.
Gus cleared his throat and awkwardly loosened his tie.
Right, where was I?
William Kerr bounded on the stage with the energy of a preacher at a big tent revival.
Gus Valentine, everyone!
He gave Gus a hearty slap on the back and motioned him off the stage.
Let's hear it for our mayor. What a great turnout. Ah, heck, I didn't prepare anything. But I suppose I could say a few words. Would be ashamed to waste such a beautiful podium.
Mr. Kerr pulled a big stack of note cards out from his vest.
Of course he did. Community, conviction, commitment. These are the things we celebrate at Perennial Harvest. For us, these are the pillars of the bridge to a better tomorrow. But I think it's time to add a new pillar. Change. Change is a powerful thing. It's inexorable, unavoidable, and undeniable. And I am dadgum thankful for it. Change is the reason we're all together today. It's hard for me to believe that it was only 4 years ago when fate brought me here. A simple business trip which brought me to a small town which would change my life forever.
Mr. Kerr took a moment to survey the crowd.
You know what?
He wiped away a single tear.
From the second I set foot in Beacon Pines, something about this place had held me captive. You see, change represents opportunity. It represents potential. It was change that helped me recognize the potential of this place. To see that the people of this town, despite suffering great loss, still held on to the things that made them special.
He thumped the podium to emphasize each word.
Community, conviction, commitment, change.
Mr. Kerr nodded confidently, biting his lip. The crowd was silent, in rapt attention.
Fate made a perfect match that day. Nothing is more important to you. Nothing is more important to you all than community. And perennial harvest is a community first and foremost.
Mr. Kerr methodically made eye contact with each section of the crowd.
The only way you made it through the foul harvest was an unshakable conviction. A conviction that a better tomorrow was just over the horizon. Perennial harvest was founded on the conviction that we are that horizon. This festival is a symbol of our commitment to each other.
His voice began to build to a crescendo.
We now walk hand in hand into a future we will shape together. And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is a choice. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? Just imagine what we can accomplish. What was that?
The crowd began to look around nervously.
Don't worry, a little thunder isn't going to ruin this day. Everyone remain calm.
Mr. Kerr quickly flicked through his note cards.
Where was I? Through all of my travels, I have learned one true thing. One always reaps what they sow. We all have planted a lot of good in this town. And so, it is with a happy heart that I can proclaim,
He raised his hands up to the heavens.
our harvest awaits! That's not the harvest I was thinking.
At that moment, a merciless wall of impossibly cold air ripped through the crowd, instantly freezing everyone and everything it touched. For a man like William Kerr, this was a fitting way for things to end. On a stage, with an entire town frozen in rapt attention for the rest of time. The end.
The end!
There's that ice again! Whenever I think we're getting close, it comes along and ruins everything!
Yeah?
Maybe we should just quit?
No.
Maybe you should just close the book, walk away, and never think of me again.
You know, I'm gonna make a quick prediction here. The person reading this book is probably... the mom or the dad? I guess we'll find out.
No, I don't mean that. We got a little closer this time. We just need to try again. Please.
Well, let's see. Can't go there, can't go there. Huh. You know, I never tried this. Let's try this. We're gonna go all the way back to this. Flight.
Luka drew himself up and decided to take the only option they had left. Flight. He squinted down the barrel of the mission control defense cannon, aiming it through an opening in the dense tree branches. He looked up with surprise as it struck true and taut.
Wow, I can't believe that worked! Hey, Mr. Kerr! We'd love to hear your thoughts, but I'm afraid we have places to be. Come on, Iggy. See ya, jerks! Fine, we know where that leads them. This way, we'll take the tunnels. Interesting.
Luka and Iggy winced as they sprinted through the thicket. The branches clawed at them, reluctant to give passage. After what felt like a marathon, Luka stopped in his tracks as they reached the clearing. What the? That was all he was able to say before Iggy slammed into his back. The boys tumbled down a steep decline and crashed with a wheezing thud on a surface as hard as ice. In fact, it was ice.
Oh.
Chapter 5. Signs. They stood silently, catching their breath. The sky was like sapphire. With each breath, a plume of steam escaped from Luka's lungs. Let's keep moving. Luka pulled Iggy to his feet as they gazed across a snowy terrain.
Interesting. That was actually pretty badass. Uh-huh. I think we lost him. Are we up in the mountains? I don't think so. If anything, we went downhill. Then what's up with this winter wonderland? All I know is there's no going back the way we came. Let's see if we can get our bearings. Follow me. Alright, well, what's this? Oh, it's this way. Luka! Luka, are you there?
Luka had almost forgotten the walkie-talkie he was carrying.
Is that Bozo Kerr? I hope nothing bad has happened to you out in those woods.
Luka looked at Iggy with hesitation.
No need to be
With a
rude.
resigned sigh, Luka responded.
It seems like the only dangerous thing in the woods is you. He speaks, the young man of the hour. Now, how in tarnation did you end up with one of our radios? Just lucky, I guess. Boy howdy, you Van Horns are full of surprises, aren't you? You knew my parents? I never had the honor of meeting your father, but your mom sure was a handful.
Luka winced, shoving the walkie-talkie back into his pocket.
No. We gotta keep moving. Hold on. I didn't get to check this out. I thought there was something else.
A disc of smooth metal was lightly covered in snow. 2 faint seams were visible along the surface.
A manhole cover? If it is, I've never seen one like it. Uh-oh. What's the readout? Sitting just above 258 Kelvin. That's down a bit from last time. Should we report this to Mr. Kerr? Meh, still within safe ranges. It may be spreading, but it's under control for now. Even a small nudge in the equilibrium could cause a cascade. Dude, relax. Just a few more sites to hit before we can punch out. Let's get this over with. Oh, this is Beacon Pines. What the? This is the sign. What's all this? Hard to say with all this snow. I think it's a town sign. I can almost make out letters under there. What town could this even be? There couldn't be another town this deep in Weepwood. I'm looking at evidence to the contrary. Let's figure out what we're dealing with here. Step 1. Snow's gotta go. I'll see what I can do. It's Beacon Pines. In situations as these, I find it best to chuck stuff first and ask questions later. Okay, but I get that. But I don't know what to chuck. Oh, here we go. Yep. I knew it.
The
Welcome to Beacon
boys
Pines.
stared in disbelief at the sign that now clearly read, "Welcome to Beacon Pines."
This doesn't make any sense. We're in Beacon Pines? How's that possible? We ran away from town. How did we get back here? I guess we got turned around. Where did all this snow come from? Well, it's been colder than normal lately. There's a pretty big difference between sweater weather and this Arctic hellscape. The puddle we fought at before, it was cold too. Maybe all of it leads to one source. Dun dun da. You think it's related? What the hell is going on? We're gonna get you some answers. Let's keep moving. Well, hold on now. Hold on. I went this way. Found something. Back here. I'm a man who likes to just check my options before I do. Alright, Iggy. Nothing back here. Oh, wait. Nothing back here. Okay. Sorry, just had to Satiate my curiosity. Oh, it's the town. This stuff looked familiar to you? It looked like the barrel near the puddle I shoved me into. Yeah.
The fencing glistened, each chain link encapsulated with a translucent layer of ice.
Looks like the stuff they put up around Wheatwood. The stuff who put up? I don't know. It's all frozen.
Looking down at the frozen stream, Luka could faintly see a school of minnows encased in the ice.
Whatever happened here, it happened fast. The fish didn't even have time to run. Oh, swim run.
The crunching of footsteps trailing Luka went hush. He looked back to see Iggy's face twisted with confusion.
Everyone's gone. What? There's nothing here but more snow. There must be an explanation for all of this. We have to keep looking. You can look all you want. I quit. Iggy, we have to keep going. You don't get it, do you? This isn't one of your pathetic Hank Atomic stories. We aren't going to save the day. We aren't even going to save ourselves. My face is mangled. The town is destroyed, and everyone we've ever known is gone. We don't know that. And you can't just quit. Do whatever you want. I'm done. Iggy, it's gonna be okay.
Luka peered upward at the darkening sky. He let out a long, foggy breath. Faintly, Iggy began to cry. Seeing Iggy in such a pathetic state gave Luka a sense of compassion, and more than a little guilt.
It is getting pretty late, I think. Probably not a great idea to stumble around in the dark anyway.
Luka allowed himself to collapse next to Iggy.
Let's just rest for a bit.
The boys huddled together for warmth and comfort. If not for exhaustion, their minds would be racing, trying to make sense of the events of the day. As it was, all they had energy for was to sit in silence, numb.
They're gonna freeze. I think that's the end of this storyline, but I had to see it play out. The way the snow covered everything over, it's kind of calming. Yeah, I haven't had time to say it, but thanks. Huh? For getting us away from those creeps. I sort of froze up back there. Pun intended! Iggy, I should be the one apologizing. This all happened because I lost my temper. Nah, that's bull hockey. First of all, you didn't know what that gunk would do. You didn't, right? Of course not. And second, stop with this baloney about losing your temper. But I did lose my temper.
Iggy motioned sarcastically to his half-deformed face.
Obviously. But that's exactly what you should have done. Huh? I was being a horse's ass. And you were supposed to be a horse's ass in response. That's how it works. Iggy, I'm having a hard time following. You wanted me to fight you? Of course! Geez, you goody types take forever to understand this very basic point. Why would you go around saying cruel things trying to get into fights?
Iggy shrugged.
It's something to do. You're an asshole because you're bored? Sometimes I just feel empty. You wouldn't understand. You and Rolo are always having a blast together. Laughing and calling that dinky little treehouse mission control.
Iggy now wept openly.
Perfect little Luka Van Horn. With his perfect little life. My life is not perfect. Everybody in town likes you. Not everybody. Hell, that new girl hadn't even unpacked yet, and even she already likes you. You have a Tish?
He wiped his nose with a sleeve.
I love Tish. Tish is great. But she ain't exactly the world's greatest conversationalist, you know?
Luka gave a warm chuckle.
I get that impression.
Iggy cleared his throat as he wiped his eyes.
Huh. Must be raining out here. Definitely.
Iggy arched into a wide yawn.
We should probably try to get some sleep. In the fucking snow? You need to find shelter. Then try and get some sleep. Yeah. Let's lay low for now. Tomorrow we'll get to the bottom of all of this. Drink break. Did a lot of reading. Reading out loud. Alright, let's do this.
Luka's eyelids began to slowly drift shut.
Luka? Yeah? I always did want to see the inside of your dinky little treehouse. What do you think? Not bad. I'll give you the full tour when we get back. You know what? Huh.
That's all Luka could whisper before succumbing to sleep. Iggy snuggled in some more.
When it comes to worst days of my life, this one wasn't half bad. Aw.
The house smelled of warm bread. Luka was playing with toy blocks on the living room rug. He looked up to see his parents on the couch. His mother held his father's head in her lap. She idly stroked his hair while humming a song. A voice behind Luka spoke. "This is how you remember them, huh?" Luka turned to see his own face, the doppelganger from his dreams, still clad in a yellow hazmat suit, still carrying a look of disdain behind empty eyes. Aww, look at this perfectly cozy scene. You know it wasn't really like this. The figure picked up a toy block and inspected it. It's amazing the facades that one can build given the right materials. Not that I blame us. These are a child's memories, all warm and fuzzy. You don't remember, do you? Luka snatched the block from the figure's yellow-gloved hand. Remember what? The doppelganger pointed to the couch. The last day we saw him alive. The day he chose to abandon us. Luka turned to look at his father, still lounging on the couch. That's not true. He didn't abandon us. The doppelganger waved his hand dismissively. Everything is true here. It's just a matter of what we choose to see. Well, let me show you. The world flickered and pulsed. Luka was sitting next to his bed, listening to his heartbeat with one of his dad's stethoscopes. The doppelganger limped into the room. Now, we both know that's not how this went. He grabbed Luka's hand and guided the stethoscope to the floor. Luka heard muffled shouting, brought close by the stethoscope. It was his parents, fighting. Do you remember what we did next? Luka gave a slow nod and crept down the hall to peek through the banister. He could see the outline of his mother at the bottom of the stairs. Damn it, Walt. We can't afford to get involved in this. She was scared. His father stepped forward. What am I supposed to do? Just watch? There's a sickness in this town, and we both know who's behind it. I swore an oath to help people. I won't turn my back on them. Luka's mother grabbed Walt. She was crying, pleading. I can't lose you. Walt calmly removed Eleanor's hand from his shoulder. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. I could never live with myself if I let Sharper get away with this. Eleanor raised her voice. Spare me your bullshit platitudes. What about our son? Luka flinched, dropping the stethoscope down the stairs. Walt turned with a panicked smile. Luka, is that you, buddy? With tears in his eyes, Luka descended the stairs. Mom? Dad? What's going on? Walt dropped to a knee to meet Luka eye to eye. Nothing, buckaroo. Your mom and I just got a little overexcited is all. Luka placed the stethoscope against his father's chest. His heart was racing. It sounded like you were going somewhere? Walt gently removed the device from Luka's ears. Listen to me, Luka. I have some business to take care of. I'll be back in time to tuck you in. Luka hugged his father tightly. Promise? Walt stood up, and walked to the door. He glanced over his shoulder. "I promise." With a wink and a grin, he put on his hat and strode out into the evening sun. A figure approached soundlessly from the foggy snowfall. It stood above them, lingering in contemplation. Slowly raising one hand above Iggy, it snapped out 2 brisk raps on his head. From a deep slumber, Iggy sprang up defensively.
Get your hands off of me!
Whether it was the calming presence or the recognition that he was not in danger, Iggy felt his clenched fists lower.
Just what do you think you're doing?
Luka looked up, gradually remembering his whereabouts. The figure exhaled a cloud of warm vapor.
You two certainly have caused a lot of commotion. What's that supposed to mean? Take it easy, Iggy. We were asleep minding our own business. You're the one running around knocking on people's heads. I'm sorry if I hurt you, Iggy. You didn't hurt nobody. Anybody. Huh? Oh, I see. You think you're better than me? You...
When it came to complete strangers, Iggy had trouble cobbling together an insult.
You big-hatted, scarfy-necked furball! Okay, let's lower the temperature a bit here. Interesting choice of words. I mean, let's all just calm down. Who are you? A friend, an observer, a hitchhiker on the infinite expanse of possibility. Great. How about a name? If you must call me something, you can call me Nat.
Iggy huffed with gratification.
How about you make like a gnat and buzz off? Very well.
Nat began to turn away indifferently.
Wait! Do you live here? You might say that. So you know where we are? You might also say that. Look, pal, we just want to find a safe way out of here. You gonna help us or not? Before knowing how to leave, one must know where they are. Alright, that does it. Luka, I don't know about you, but I'm getting out of here one way or another.
Iggy turned sharply and began to stomp off.
Enough with the riddles. Iggy, wait up.
Realizing he'd worn their patience then, Nat relented.
Very well, I suppose this isn't time for metaphors. I'll show you how to get back home.
Luka and Iggy turned around with hope in their eyes.
Come here.
Nat took a deep breath in.
Close your eyes.
Nat exhaled slowly, then snapped his fingers.
Okay, open them.
For a brief moment, Luka and Iggy let themselves believe that some great magic was about to unfold, until they opened their eyes and found themselves in the exact same place, cold and disheartened.
This is your home. This is Beacon Pines. Look, Nat, we don't know how we got here. Maybe we stumbled through some time travel gate in Weekwood? Or we teleported to some alternate universe? Or this is all just some cruel experiment by Kerr and his goons. But this is not our home. You're inching closer to the truth. Alas, the reality is much less fanciful. Just give it to us straight. So be it. As I said, this is Beacon Pines. The original, true Beacon Pines. Oh. You both grew up here, but the town you called your home for the past several years is a replica. A remarkable achievement of engineering, to be fair, but a replica nonetheless. That's impossible. It's too much work. You need a whole town to replicate a whole town? Indeed, to pull off such a feat would require immense labor power. That which could be moved would be moved. That which could not would require a precise duplicate. We would have noticed. Someone would have noticed. You'd think so, unless the auditing was impeccable. A mind-numbing attention to detail. As for the innumerable trivialities which complete the tapestry, well, you can leave that to the miraculous thing we call a brain. It has a real aversion to discontinuity, a revulsion even. The brain has a wonderful way of smoothing out the rough edges, keeping us sane. So you're saying that someone made an entire new town and moved us all and no one noticed? Precisely. But why? Why is the one question that can never be answered with certainty. The best we can do is to uncover.
Nat narrowed his eyes, furrowed his brow, and uttered,
The source. Why do you say the source like that? Why indeed?
Luka began to laugh uncomfortably.
It's all ridiculous. There's no way they
He
could.
looked down at his feet. His eyes started back and forth in contemplation. With a sudden pain, a thought struck him.
If this really is home.
He sprinted off into the pale distance. As Iggy turned to follow, Nat called out,
Iggy, it's not too late to turn back. Simply head west through Weekwood.
Chapter 6. The Source. Nat expressed his sympathy with a shrug and sauntered off as unassumingly as he'd arrived. He'd given Luka and Iggy what they needed, and nothing more. As Luka sprinted across the snow, the events of the past few days became clearer, pieces to a larger puzzle. Rolo said he was underground somewhere, captured. Mr. Kerr tried to cover it up with lies. The clipboards were hell-bent on capturing Iggy. It all seemed to point to perennial harvest. But right now, there was one thing that Luka needed to know.
His dad's grave.
Luka stopped dead in his tracks. The tree was gone, uprooted and moved, leaving a raw gash in the earth.
Oh shit. Okay. Nice twist. I'm liking it. Let's see where it goes.
He dropped to his knees and dug wildly at the cold snow. His numb hands hit something hard, a headstone. A dry whisper escaped Luka's lips.
You're here. All this time I thought I was visiting you. But you've been here, alone, in the snow. Dad, I'm so sorry. They ruined your favorite spot in the world. Our favorite spot in the world. Dad, what do I do?
There was no reply, just snow-covered silence.
Why'd you give me the slip like that? What if I couldn't find you, you jerk?
Iggy finally noticed the tears welling in Luka's eyes and the snow-covered grave.
Oh. Iggy, they stole his tree, Iggy. Yikes!
Suddenly, they heard the crunch of approaching footsteps in the snow.
Dun dun duh. Is it Nat? We gotta hide. 259K. Fall off distance still good. Dude, did you hear me? I said 259. Sorry. You ever think about what we did here? We saved a whole town of people. Doesn't feel like it sometimes. What about everything we left behind? That's the grave of someone with a family. The people who love them will never know the truth. The truth is
He
overrated.
bent down to scoop up a snowball and lobbed it playfully.
Hey! Don't be such a downer, dude. We took this job to change the world. I bet you it's Beck's parents. Yeah. Come on. It's almost lunchtime. I like how he moves. Weirdo. Here I thought I was a jerk. These dinguses are out here literally dancing on graves.
Luka stuttered through heaving sobs.
I thought I was visiting him. I thought he was with me. Not gonna lie, that's a bad break. Here's some advice.
Iggy gave Luka a solid smack on the back of his head.
Hey! Who's any of this helping? What? Sitting here in the snow, crying like some pushover. Who you helping? Iggy, look what they did. They lied to everyone. Blah, blah, blah. Luka Van Horn, you're a lot of things, but you ain't no pushover. What did I tell you before? When some jerk comes at you acting like a horse's ass, I should stand up for myself. Hell yeah! Kerr and his merry little band of clipboards pulled off this switcheroo for a reason, right? Nat mentioned something about a source.
Luka wiped his eyes with a sleeve.
Whatever's at the source must be awfully valuable to Perennial Harvest. Sure would be a shame if something unfortunate were to happen to their precious source, wouldn't it? What do you have in mind? If it's small enough to steal, we snatch it. If it's too big to snatch, we smash it. And what if it's too big to smash?
Iggy flashed a mischievous smile and cracked his knuckles.
I'm always up for a challenge. I'm gonna make this right, Dad. I promise. Let's do this. Finally! Get to figure out where the fucking source is. It's probably here, wherever this is. It can get awfully cold out there in those woods, Luka. Probably best you two stay put and conserve your energy. Help's on the way. Where's Rolo? Where's my mom? Did you kill her? Oh, heavens no. Do I seem like a killer to you?
Iggy and Luka shared a skeptical look.
Well, do I? Ah, shucks. Now that hurts my feelings. Screw that guy. Okay, so maybe Perennial Harvest set up shop right there. Wait a minute. If this is the original town, then that means...
Iggy darted behind a large pine and began digging furiously. He emerged holding a shoebox with a crude skull painted on its lid.
What's that? Long story. So a few years back, I came into possession of some premium grade fireworks. Not the wimpy firecracker stuff they give kids. The good stuff. So why did you bury it under a tree? That's the long part of the story. You and Rolo were doing chores at Rolo's chicken coop. And you guys pissed me off for some reason or another.
Luka rolled his eyes with realization.
No, you didn't.
Iggy stifled a chuckle.
Yep. I just wanted to give you guys a little scare. But, like I said, these were some primo fireworks. So I might have underestimated things. You blew up the chicken coop? I prefer to think of it as an incendiary redecoration. Sorry, but you should have seen the looks on your faces. Rolo got grounded for months, which is why I needed to stash the evidence and lay low. So I buried him under that tree. But when I came back for him later, they were gone. I figured some grown-up must have found them and tossed them.
Iggy triumphantly raised the shoebox.
Turns out it wasn't the fireworks that got moved. It was us. Unbelievable. Well, the Perennial Harvest... Do you think this is a game? Newsflash, boyo, you're not a hero. You're a little brat who is in way over his head. A hero to someone who refuses to give up. Comics these days are rotting children's brains. Everyone thinks they're a spaceman superhero. I'm always partial to Hank Atomic myself. Is that so? Do you really think you have a chance against us? You have no idea how powerful we are. Prepare for blast-off, loser. It's gotta be in here. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, what's in here? Crooked. Just like this whole stinking place. Crooked. I got that job. Well, I know that's the obvious thing to do, but what's back here? Nothing. Snow's covered it up. Ooh, I wonder if we can go to the other part of town. Nope. Alright, let's just find out what's going on.
Luka and Iggy inched up to the edge of the hole with bewilderment in their eyes. Arctic air breathed out of the cavern in heaving gusts.
Echo! 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 Whoa. I can see why they wanted to move us all out of town now. But why would they dig a giant hole? I think this is it. This is the source? It's a dang hole! How do we smash a hole? Uh-oh, there's Kerr. Oh, it's much more than that, my annoying little friend. Kerr! Where's Rolo? I wasn't lying before. He's safe. Well, safer than you two, at least. Drats, it's cold. You just had to drag me all the way out of here, didn't you?
Mr. Kerr gazed down the abyss in contemplation.
It really is something, isn't it? What did you do to our town? What is all of this? Well, that's a doozy of a question. This is the source, where they collect the unrefined,
Kerr scratched the back of his head.
Honestly, boys, I don't understand any of this enough. I don't understand any of this well enough to explain it. Fact of the matter is, I'm not paid to know. What do you mean you don't know? Ain't you in charge? Oh heavens no. My role is to merely flash a winning smile and manage various complications. Complications like us? You are a smart boy.
His face contorted into a saccharine grin.
It really is nothing personal. Some people are destined to strive for greatness, and others are simply obstacles along the way. Seems like you were destined to be a creepy lackey. The point is that we all play our part in life. Mine just happens to be a lead in the role of a lifetime. And you happen to be extras. Ready for your curtain call? We aren't giving up without a fight. Your smile's not gonna be so winning after we're done with you. Now boy, there's no need for melodrama. It makes even a professional such as myself embarrassed for you. Let's change the mood a bit.
Kerr snapped his fingers.
Scene change. Oh. There, that's better. Deal with them.
Iggy turned to Luka with a
They're gonna have to
sly
jump
glance.
in. That's what's gonna happen. Why are you smirking? Because I have a box full of fireworks, and you don't.
Iggy waved the box into the air, threatening to drop it down the hole.
Stop! Let's not do something regrettable. Joke's on you, regret is one of my specialties. Out of curiosity, what would happen if I threw these in your precious hole? Nothing. Nothing at all. You're a terrible liar. I'll have you know, I'm an exceptional liar. Oh, that's far enough.
Iggy plucked a single bottle rocket from the box and held it up with reverence.
Stop, you fool! Call off your goons.
After a long pause, Mr. Kerr flung up his hand with frustration.
Very well. You can all head back for the night. It's been a long day. I'll handle these two from here.
Mr. Kerr sighed into the frigid air.
It's just us now, Iggy. You can put that down. What, like
With a
this?
nonchalant flick, Iggy tossed the firework into the hole.
Ooh. Whoa.
With a growl, Kerr leapt at Iggy, crashing through Luka. Iggy tried to twist away, but in the struggle they both tumbled over the side. Luka dove forward, bracing Iggy's hand just before it slipped. His grip was made precarious by the cold, wet snow. He could see Kerr further down, clinging to Iggy's coat.
You reckless child, what have you done? Luka, listen to me. Hold on tight and use the walkie-talkie to call them back. What channel do I use? It doesn't make a damn difference, they're always listening. If you do that, the clipboards will just haul us up and snag us both. The only way to get out of this is if Kerr's out of the picture. Just let go and save yourself. If he lets go, we both die. I don't want to die, but seeing the look on your face almost makes it worth it. Mr. Kerr, you've had a long life. Why don't you actually do something selfless and just let go?
Mr. Kerr gasped with insult.
Long life? I'll have you know I can still play 25. You should have heard me sing the part of Phyllis Young.
With a wild look in his eye, Mr. Kerr began to hum a proud melody.
Wow, can you believe this guy?
Luka's hand began to cramp. His voice began to crack.
Kerr, just let go. No can do. If you want to save your friend, you'll have to save me too. Luka, look at me. It's okay.
Luka felt Iggy loosen his grasp.
You aren't going to kill your friend like that, are you?
Every muscle in Luka's body burned.
I'm not his friend. Yes, you are. Nah, I'm just a no-good boy. Like you, Kerr. Iggy, no.
Luka felt his hand slipping.
And I told you what you need to do as boys. I can't. It's your only way out of this mess. 2 birds with 1 stone. It makes sense for us to fall together. Wackadoos travel in packs.
Calm settled over Iggy's face.
Luka, let me do this.
Iggy's voice was colder than the bitter air billowing from the chasm.
Let me do the right thing. For once. Luka had no choice but to...
Luka had no choice but to refuse Iggy's request. He tightened his grip and reached for the walkie-talkie in his pocket. A wild delight crept onto Mr. Kerr's face. That's a good lad. Now, radio for help. Iggy begged Luka with his eyes one last time, but Luka pressed the button and called out. We need help. Mr. Kerr is in danger. It wasn't long before they were once again surrounded by clipboards. Mr. Kerr sighed with relief. Mirror, now. A clipboard dutifully produced an ornate ivory hand mirror, and Mr. Kerr began preening his tousled hair. Ah, that's better. Mr. Van Horn, I applaud your sharp thinking under duress. I'll put in a good word for you with the founder. Take them away. A swarm of hands overpowered Luka. The last thing he saw before a cloth bag was pulled over his head was the defeated look on Iggy's face.
Sorry.
The end.
Damn it! I should have killed him.
I think this was one of those times where doing the right thing was the wrong thing.
Alright, I accepted. Fuck. Alright.
Luka had no choice but to accept Iggy's request. With a quiet blink, Luka watched a teardrop sail down into the howling void. As his fingers slowly gave up, he met eyes with Iggy.
Good.
The 2 silhouettes were swallowed by darkness.
Wow. Wait, what? I know you had the box, but how are they lighting? He must have lit them. How about goodbye, Iggy? Were you there the whole time? Luka, you should really step back. What? quickly. Curious. Ah, but of course. Those fireworks of Iggy must have been just the right amount of energy. We should get out of here before perennial harvest arrives. Not until you tell me what just happened. Your friend's sacrifice just saved this town. For a little while, anyway. How? Tempest liquamine is a peculiar substance. It can change the relationship between matter and time itself, but doing so requires unfathomable energy. In a closed system, that energy can only come from its surroundings, a useful side product of this property being. By adding precisely the correct amount of energy to it, one can create a cryogenic cascade. So the gunk makes things cold and the fireworks made the whole freeze over? That's one way of putting it, yes. As dumb luck would have it, the fireworks weren't strong enough to generate a runaway reaction. I shudder to think what would have happened in that case. Oh, the explosions! That's what it is!
We have some idea what that would look like.
It will take them a good while to safely break through and access the source again. If you knew all of this stuff, why haven't you been helping? I have been in my way. Each one of us has our role to play. Iggy's role, it turns out, was to buy us precious time. Mine has been to observe and wait. Wait for what? You. Me? Why? What's my role?
A fierce twinkle flashed in Nat's eyes.
Luka Van Horn, you are gonna save the world.
With a chuckle, Nat turned and walked west. Dumbfounded, Luka followed behind him, trudging through the snow. Every step taking him further away from everyone and everything he knew, and closer to destiny. To be continued in Beacon Pines, Pines Harder. Revenge served cold. Second time's a charm? Wait, that's it? This ends with a crummy cliffhanger just when it was getting good? I was even starting to like Iggy. No way. I refuse to be associated with some never-ending parade of sequels. Let's go back and find something more definitive.
I guess I gotta play out this one then.
They'd run the classic good cop, sly cop interrogation. Luka and Rolo ducked behind a barrel, leaving Beck to her task. With a few crisp snaps, she roused Mr. Tolliver.
I was hoping Beck would do this. What? What's going on here? You're that Modewell girl. Please, call me Beck. Sorry about all of this.
Mr. Tolliver looked down and shifted a bit, testing his restraints.
It seems there's been a mix-up. You see, I'm down here for the same reason you are. Juniper sent you
Beck
here?
caught herself before letting the surprise manifest on her face. She'd already gotten him to reveal his relation to Gran. This was gonna be easy.
I was hoping she'd get involved, I really was. She's a smart girl. You know how Juniper is with her precautions. Operation Sparkplug has us all on edge. I guess she thought you needed some backup. But she sent a child? What better way to avoid prying eyes? Who would suspect a kid? I suppose that makes sense.
Mr. Tolliver wriggled a bit in his restraints.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beck quickly removed the ropes.
That has to be uncomfortable. A little, yeah. But you understand, we never know who to trust in this town.
Mr. Tolliver rubbed the growing knot on his forehead.
Very true. So, it turns out we're both here to...
Beck twirled her hand, as if to prompt Mr. Tolliver to finish her thought.
We're both here to... destroy the evidence.
Beck shook her head and clicked her tongue.
Yeah, the old gal is nothing if not thorough.
Mr. Tolliver let out an amused huff in agreement.
She sure is. Can't blame her, though. If anyone were to find out that we're going to destroy the source, well, we both know how bad that might be. No one will know anything once I finish cleaning up things down here.
Beck was on a roll now, playing Mr. Tolliver like a fiddle.
You sure you can finish this up on your own? Juniper trusted me for a reason. You can leave the rest to me. Good. There's one more loose end I'll go work on. Loose end? Oh, it's nothing really. The other day, I had the radio on scan while restocking the candy shelf, and wouldn't you know it, I intercepted an odd phrase in the perennial harvest transmission. Underground secrets. That's ominous. I think it might be a password, but Juniper dismissed it. Said it wasn't mission critical. What's the password for? We don't know. So you have a password and know where to put it. It's gotta mean something, right? Good thinking. You should probably go work that out. I've got this under control. That's a relief. Between you and me, this basement gives me the willies.
Heading for the stairs, Mr. Tolliver hesitated and turned to Beck with a puzzled look. She grinned and gave him a peppy wave. With a shrug, he continued up the stairs, whistling a jaunty tune.
You guys catch that? Sure did. This whole time Mr. Tolliver had a candy shelf? But all he ever sells us is apples!
Beck blinked slowly in disappointment.
Oh, Rolo. The password, Rolo. Well, sure, but once things are back to normal, I'll be having a word with Mr. Tolliver about that candy shelf. Priorities. Fine. In the meantime, I've got an idea.
She turned to the table and began tearing small scraps of paper.
He said he heard a password on the radio. And any good spy transmission is never what it seems.
Beck marked each scrap of paper and leaned back.
We just need to find the hidden meeting. Okay. What's another word for underground? Buried. Covered. Could it be a cover-up? Maybe it's one of those each letter is a number thingies. So U would be 21, N would be 14, D would be... Ooh, it's an anagram! Nuncreed's drugstore.
Luka and Beck looked at Rolo with amazement.
Rolo, that was incredible! Well, it's either that or Kren's new drugstore. Yeah, I think you were right the first time. How did you do that? What can I say? I love ciphers. Well, I guess we know where to go next. Investigate Nuncreed's... I was wondering when we get to that part too. Alright, well hold on. Gotta look cool. Alright, so... we did good. Alright, off to Nuncreed. Oh. Ms. Fratelli, what are we doing? You scared me half to death. Sorry. You kids haven't seen Mr. Tolliver around, have you? Nope. He's got me waiting around like the last slice of pie. I swear, that man would be late to his own funeral. Okay, good luck with that. You're late, Augustus. Sorry, sister. Was caught up with work. Work? You? I had a few more details to lock down for the festival. Oh, what do you have to report? What is this insipid town festival really about? I think
Gus looked around nervously.
I think Mr. Kerr really does just want to do something good for the town. He's actually a pretty nice guy. You should spend some time with him. I didn't pull strings installing you as mayor so that you could make friends. Your job is to help me figure out what Kerr and Perennial Harvest's true intentions are with this town. We have a responsibility. This is our father's town. Was. Excuse me? This was our father's town. He's gone, Eris, and he isn't coming back. Father left us with nothing but problems. Mr. Kerr came here and offered to help us. We accepted that help. We didn't agree to them turning Father's warehouse into a toxic dumping ground. That is just a temporary arrangement. The glow can be seen from our damn backyard. They are dumping their nasty little secrets on us. When this all inevitably goes wrong, who do you think will be blamed?
Eris's cry hung in the air.
We have a new choice to make now, sister. This town is going to change, whether we like it or not. Are we going to choose to be a part of that future, or be forgotten in the past? It's a shame. Father named you Augustus, but you will always just be a Gus. Good night, Eris. We'll see you at breakfast tomorrow. It's getting late, children. Yeah. Goodbye. Oh! You're still here. Let's find out what you're gonna say. Knowledge, he spat with a sneer. There exists a gulf between knowing something and being able to do a damn thing about it. I do hate when the villain makes a good point. Oh, great. The weird kid. It's the weird kid, guys. Alright, here we go.
Solomon stood proudly at the entrance to the drugstore, holding a brown bag overflowing with black licorice.
Hey, Solomon. We're working for Mr. Nuncreed. Is he still in there? I'm afraid not. Then where'd you get the candy from? You might say we have an arrangement.
Solomon shoveled a surprising amount of licorice into his mouth.
Sometimes it's the small pleasures in life. Though we might not always have family to rely on. Licorice has never let me down. Well, I can't say licorice would be my first choice, but whatever floats your boat. You can tell a lot about a person by their choice of confection. Oh, yeah, I guess. I like sour gobs. I'm certain you do. I always wonder why Mr. Nuncreed kept licorice in stock. You must eat enough of it to make it worthwhile. There are many ways to earn loyalty. For some, it's easy as cold, hard cash. Well, he's right. It's locked. There's gotta be more clues. Okay, let's see. It's probably this stupid telephone booth. Have you ever seen anyone actually use this thing? Besides Mr. Nuncreed? No.
Beck cupped her hands on the glass to peek inside.
That is not a normal phone booth. It's got like a blinky keypad. Why would there be a blinky keypad? Kren's Nude Rug Store. I mean, Underground Secrets. The password.
Beck flung open the door and they all squeezed in.
All right, let's see
Luka
here.
cracked his knuckles and entered the letters into the keypad.
Sounds like that did something. Great. Now what? I guess we...
The inside of the phone booth dropped loose from its shell. Without even the space to panic, they closed their eyes, held their breath, and accepted their fate. Suddenly, the chaotic descent slowed to an effortless landing. It was unclear where they ended up, but at least it was solid ground.
Oh, shit.
The air was stagnant and smelled vaguely of chlorine.
I knew it! You knew there was a secret hub full of strange tubes underneath the phone booth? Of course I did. Didn't I say that? No. I definitely thought it. Luka, do you remember how do you remember when I said how cool it would be if the trans-dimensional conduits from Hank Atomic issue number 12 were real? Rolo, at one point or another, you said that about every technology ever discussed in Hank Atomic. That's why I'm such a good predictor. I love Rolo. It looks like each of these has something written on them. Well, there's the hazmat suit. This suit has a broken mask. So, have we found our mystery warehouse creeper? We at least found their hazmat suit. If it walked like a Nuncreed and talked like a Nuncreed, let's not jump to conclusions. But just saying. Valentine Fertilizer Warehouse. Isn't that where you almost got snatched? Yeah. Why would Perennial Harvest have a tube going to the old Valentine place? This is starting to feel like something big. Mining Operations Alpha. You guys have mines here? Not that I know of. This town is all farms and fertilizer. And a series of tubes. Pa always said you can only trust a miner up to the point when they hit a goal, when they hit gold. Not sure how that wisdom applies in this exact situation. That's the thing about Pa. You don't always realize what he means until it's too late. Perennial Harvest main office. That's where my mom works. What does she do? Science stuff. Is she involved in all of this? We just moved here. How could she be involved? True. Alright, well, jump. What's this? That's a lot of buttons. Stand aside, Earthlings. I've read enough Hank Atomic to know my way around sci-fi tech.
Rolo's hands hovered over the field of blinking buttons.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Rolo, what did you do? Nothing? I didn't even mow yet. What was that? Hide! Where? There's nothing but weird tubes down here. Just get back. Nuncreed. Shit. Awesome! You all need to come with me, now. We aren't going anywhere with you. Not until we get some answers. Mr. Underground Secrets. I told them it was an absurd password, but they love anything that makes them feel clever. They who? That's no matter. If I can keep you hidden until after the festival, I might be able to save your skins. We don't care about our skins. Hold on, I like my skin. This all stops now, Nuncreed.
Joseph waited for a moment in silence.
You sound just like him. Who? Walt. You don't get to talk about my dad. You know, your father and I were friends back before...
He gestured toward the strange tubes.
All of this. That's a lie. It's true. I used to bounce you on my knee. What happened? Same thing that always happens. Reality, complications, life. We were a team, Walt and I. An idealistic doctor and a bright-eyed pharmacist. Both hell-bent on helping folks. So you were his sidekick? No. We were partners. He helped the patients and I helped him. Yep, total sidekick.
Nuncreed let out a growl of a sigh.
Luka, I need you to know this. I need someone to know this. One day, Sharper Valentine comes to us. Says he's got an opportunity. he found something he didn't quite understand, and he was willing to pay us both handsomely to help him understand it. And my dad said no. Your father and I believed in helping people, but the thing I could never get him to understand was, it's a lot easier to help others if you help yourself now and then. Classic sidekicked into villain plotline. Walt loved being righteous, almost more than he loved his family. He was wrong about one thing, though. When he begged me not to take Valentine's offer, he said, Joseph, if a person says yes one time to Sharper Valentine, he'll make sure they keep on saying yes to him until the day he's dead and gone.
He shook his head wistfully.
Sharper's long gone, but he's still got me saying yes. Is there a point to this sob story? Not really, no. Just an old man trying to delay what needs doing.
Nuncrete took a menacing step towards the children.
I tried to keep you safe. I tried to keep you and Juniper out of this, but you forced my hand.
Luka began to laugh.
What? You really don't know. My Gran isn't out of this. She's been scheming right under your nose. Juniper? Seems like she's planning on crashing the town's party. She's going to disrupt the festival? Why would she?
The color drained from Nuncrete's face.
How does she know? Apparently she knows a lot of things. What? Let's just say this isn't the only underground lair we busted into today. And honestly, hers is way cooler. She's got maps and explosives and bad intentions, big man.
Nuncrete grabbed Luka by the shoulders. His eyes were frantic.
You need to tell me what she's going to do right now. She doesn't understand if she doesn't understand what it is she's messing with. Tell me now! She's in danger, boy! I don't know. She had a map with a mark on the fountain in town square. The fountain. But why would...
A jolt of realization struck Mr. Nuncrete.
She knows about the source? What the heck is the source? If she tries to destroy the source, it could catalyze and... Dear God, she's gonna freeze us all! You all need to run. Run where? Away. As far away from this town as you can get. Head west and don't look back. That did not go how I expected. So... We're totally following him, right? Totally. See you on the other side. You good? Yep. I love this. That was awesome.
Chapter 8.
Oops. Alright, that's it for me right now. Thank you again for watching Brilliant Luck Gaming. My name is AJ, and this has been another segment of Beacon Pines, Episode 5. We're getting just a little bit closer to the source, and we're going to find out exactly what's about to go on. So far, this game has been a lot of fun. Just the reading, the writing, the characters, the music, the mystery, and being able to backtrack on certain decisions, knowing that it expands the story. I kind of can't wait to see how it really all ends. And I want to know who's reading the book. So tune in next time, we'll get a little bit further. Till then, have a good one. Bye.